clicking on this video or listening to this podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Suit Up Show and hit the notification button for new videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And for more information, visit www.thesuitupshow.com.
Hello, people of the multiverse. I am one of your hosts, James, aka Quantum Cosplay.
And I'm Tim, aka UK Grayson, and welcome to Suit Up, the Cosplay show.
We have returned.
In f***ing one. In f***ing one. Yes.
Oh, it's been a long time since we've done that, guys. A very long time. Yeah. It's good to be back. We're going to start this episode just with a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since we've done one of these. That feels like I've said that too many times.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done one of these.
You can document how long it's been from the growth of James's hair.
It's getting long,
I'm going to have to shave mine off now just for continuity.
Yeah, you're bald under there. But yes, guys, so it has been a while since we've done one of these, obviously. I mean, we started a podcast in a pandemic. That was a good move.
I mean, none of us expected this. Certainly not most of all us, considering we designed a podcast upon getting people to come and explain themselves, and now you can't have people around the house.
A show that primarily revolves around people coming and sitting in close proximity to us.
Genuinely, when we were coming up with the show, that was our main thing. Oh, we'll have actual people here talking to them. And it was like, oh no, you can't do that now.
So, so since we last filmed, we filmed a couple of months ago, we did some episodes with some people, like in between lockdowns and things like that. But then over the Christmas period, we stopped completely. And then you and I both got COVID.
Yeah. That is actually true, yeah.
Yeah.
So we both tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, over the Christmas period. And that put a spanner in the works.
It did.
But we both had quite mild cases, quite lucky in that instance.
We were very lucky in that ours were very mild. So we isolated, and when our isolation was up, I had someone come around and test me and say I was all clear to go back to work, because I'm working in the film industry and they test us constantly. That's where my tests come from. So you guys are getting tested. So until I was cleared of COVID, I wasn't allowed back. But it was
we were quite lucky. It's just one of those things where it's, if you're fit and you're healthy and you're young, you're lucky. You don't have anything to worry about. Then that's the situation. But so New Year. 2021. New year, new me. But so Tim and I were talking about the state of the show and where we want to go with it moving forward. 2020, we were putting shows out. COVID hit. It was quite sporadic. It sort of petered off because we were in a situation where we didn't want to stop and start. That's happened anyway. So we've now made the decision that going forward, this is going to be a Zoom thing. We'll be Zooming it. It's not what we wanted to do.
No, it was never what we wanted to do, because obviously we wanted the physical people here in the conversation, but we really wanted to make a go of this. We were all guns blazing, all full steam ahead before COVID, and COVID kind of, as it has with all of people's lives, kind of stopped it in its tracks. But we don't really want to give up on this, so we're going to move it forward any way we can. And I think any episodes you see with people will be filmed in, not even 2020, in 2019. That's the math.
No, it's 2020. So so basically, like you just said, so the plan moving forward will be, we wanted to do this as kind of a current episode so we can put this out straight away and be like, this is where we are at the moment. But going forward, we will be putting out previous episodes that were filmed with people and human contact.
Yes.
In between new Zoom episodes where we have guests on via Zoom and we can have conversations with people that way and drop in edits with their costumes and things like that. It'll be done in like post-production sort of thing, rather than having their costumes on display here with us. We'll kind of go like new episode, old episode, that kind of thing. We've got like a back catalogue of people actually coming on the show and sitting here and filming with us, and then there'll be new episodes of Zoom guests on Zoom, and that'll be the way it'll be, I guess, until
the foreseeable future, is which we can safely have people on here.
Yeah, where we can go back to normal and that's it. Yeah. So I think that's all the housekeeping out of the way.
That is, And if you're worried about a crew, there is no crew. It's literally us. Oh, there's no one else behind the cameras but us.
Steve, Jamie, Trev, Shantae, Ellie. Keep you guys. Crew of 10. So that's going to be this. I'm excited to do the Zoom thing. Like, I think it's going to be, hopefully it'll be a way that allows us to produce more content as well. So, obviously in the past it's hard work getting people to come on the show and bring their costumes and everything. Whereas now you guys will just be able to dial in.
I can stop wearing jeans to do this. If there's no one next.
You've been wearing jeans this whole time?
That's why no one comes on the show.
Things get weird when people turn up. So with that out the way, I guess moving forward, we was like, how can we come back? What can we come back with that's current and we can kind of talk about? Because we didn't want to just drop an old episode and that be the way we go forward. So that's where we are now. Wonder Woman 1984. That is what this episode is going to be about.
Yes.
Where the hell do we start? So obviously Wonder Woman 1984 was, like most films, like constantly put on hold. It was put back. Didn't know whether it was going to be released in the cinemas or not. It was in and out of lockdowns all around the world. And over the Christmas period, I think, was it Christmas? It was just after Christmas, wasn't it?
What are you talking about?
That Wonder Woman 1984 got released on HBO Max and on platforms around the world.
They finished filming in August of 2019. That's when they finished the reshoots.
No, that can't be right.
That's when I finished shooting on it.
2019.
A film goes like...
Yeah, no, I know. That just seems like so long ago. Because then I suppose it was scheduled for... And then by the time it got put off throughout the whole year, madness.
Because if it finished, say, that in 2019, then next year it's probably released. That's how films usually go. But obviously it could not. But it
eventually ended up getting dropped. Christmas just gone, 2020. It's so terrible that I can't...
Everyone's essentially lost a year.
Yeah, I know, But, so anyway, over the Christmas period, start of the new year, Wonder Woman 1984 dropped. And we thought it'd be a good way for us to come back with a current episode where we can talk about something. We're huge DC fans. I've been waiting ages for this film. And so, we don't really like reviews. Isn't really what we do. We kind of did a Snyder Cut episode.
Yeah, but that's because that's a
different animal.
That's a different animal entirely.
Which is still yet to come out. So that'll be one of the older episodes that drops, and we'll have to do a new one when the new Snyder Cut.
Yes,
when it actually gets released.
Well, it's a 4-hour film. That might have to. I know we don't like doing 2 parts. That might have to be a 2-part.
I think it's gonna happen. I think there's gonna
or a 1-part.
It's gonna be a lot. Or one very long episode.
It's gonna be one very long episode, and we'll try not to get drunk.
Yes. Yeah. So with that in mind, we thought, okay, we don't usually do reviews and stuff, but we're big DC fans, so we give our thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to start?
So you know what I'm gonna go with, before we get into what I really enjoyed Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, because of their take on the World War I and Gal Gadot's portrayal of the character. I really liked that. I'm not so hot on I think the last 10-15 minutes where she fights Ares, I think it could have done without that if it was more like, she kills that guy and she realises men are just kind of evil and they worked. I think that would have been better, but I get it, it's a superhero film.
Yeah, they need big bad.
They like big boss fights. But I really enjoyed Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, and I enjoyed everything about it. I enjoyed how they took the First World War seriously. I was really hoping that that was what we were going to run with. Wonder Woman 84, to me, it felt a bit of a mess, and that's I worked on the film. I'm very invested. I'm very invested in DC. I'm invested in my work, but I can remember when watching it thinking this will either be a fantastic film or a mess. And I think what we kept coming back to is the script and how the story, it felt like a first draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, so...
It felt like a first draft.
Yeah. I think I saw it just before you and said, have you seen Wonder Woman 1984 yet? He's like, no. I was like, right, see it as soon as you can so we can talk about it. And yeah, that was my exact words. I said, it feels like a first draft of a film. But as in, it's such a mishmash. I don't want to just all over a film, because that's like people worked hard on it and it's like it's a huge thing. And but the thing is, I hated this film so much. So we kind of thought, sorry, just before you go, we kind of thought, well, rather than just being like, oh, this is a film, this didn't enjoy this, we did enjoy these little bits and pieces, we would kind of, because when we first spoke about it, I think I said to you, I was even thinking, like, after I saw it, like, what a bizarre way to go for a film, and what weird, like, kind of, just the story, the whole story was just felt so convoluted and just stretched out and pointless. And I was kind of thinking of all the things that I would have done if I had written a Wonder Woman film. Yeah. And so we kind of thought, rather than this be an episode just as like, oh, bad review or whatever, we would kind of talk about what we would have done or what we would have liked to have seen with the character, kind of like rewriting Wonder Woman 1984.
But see, for me, I'm really, from the opening moment with young Diana back in Themyscira.
And it was here in the edit that I realised we didn't give a spoiler warning. So from this point onwards, spoilers for Wonder Woman 1984. Obviously!
They're doing that I'm not sure what you would call it, but that event,
the
weird Olympic Games sort of thing, which is, I get it, it's like a fun way to come back.
Which kind of contradicts the first film.
It really does, because Wonder Woman, when Gal's older, learning, from is it Artemisia? Am I saying that? Artemisia?
No, in the film she's Antiope, isn't she?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
My mistake. Yeah, because Artemisia in the comics is Antiope. Yeah. So in the first one, when she's learning from Antiope, she's kind of she's good, but she's not the best out there. She's she's still serving her god powers. She's being trained by this woman.
You see her being trained sort of like very briefly in secret at a really young age, and then you see her at a teenage age where she's kind of getting better and she's more confident. And then Hippolyta, however you want to pronounce it. Hippolyta discovers that she's been training her in secret because she never wanted her to be trained in that way. Yeah. I kind of guess you can work around it in that this is kind of an Olympic gamey kind of thing, but it seems that at that age she wouldn't have been trained like that.
I couldn't understand why, if you wanted to have that scene, why you wouldn't have Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot's stunt double do that, because that's a perfect way to show her, her training's taking shape.
This is her training starting. So you have her as an adult.
It did like a little girl, and all those women in that competition are the best of the Amazonians. Yeah, like they're powerful. This little girl's like ahead of them for most of the race. Like genuinely most of the race.
Kind of like I think we'll get into this a lot as we go forward. In a good scripted film, you let stuff like that go.
Well, that's if the film's good, you do. Yeah.
I have notes, Tim. I have a book full of notes all about this film because I've watched it 3 times because I couldn't believe how disappointed I was with this film. But throughout these notes, which I wrote down, I constantly wrote, in a good fit, or like in a good scripted film, in a good film, you let this sort of thing go.
So Mark Hamill's got a great thing about this with Harrison Ford, and it's from the first Star Wars film, like A New Hope. Yeah. And he said,
I know what you're going to say.
Yes, it's after the trash compactor scene, and they're back in the millennium, or they're just out, and Mark Hamill said, our hair's not wet in this. Aren't people going to notice? Because our hair should have been wet. And Harrison Ford said to him,
"Hey, kid, it ain't that kind of movie." If people are looking at your hair, we're all in big trouble. And I thought, he's so right.
He's so right. That's true. Like, if you can suspend your disbelief for things like that, there's space is a vacuum, there's no sound. But I know that TIE fighters make that sound. Like, they make that sound.
Also, Star Wars, that's the 80s. Like, this film, I tell you what, I'm going to refer to my notes.
I feel unprepared here.
This is how annoyed this film made me. There's a thing here I wrote, 80s setting and everything about this intro feels like it was shot in the 80s and thought up in the 80s. I mean that in a bad way.
Yeah. No, I said this to you. Because I felt like this film, it had kind of these outdated 80s tropes, what you would forgive.
That's what I mean. Like, 80s films, we love them because they're nostalgia.
Yes.
We don't love them because they're good films.
Some
are. I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean that from a technical point of view, like we were just talking about, like story being nailed, like spot on, like really good writing, everything, because it was the 80s, and we look back on it with nostalgia, and it seems like Wonder Woman 84 was so drowning in wanting to have that Christopher Reeve Superman element of like we can be a little bit campy and a little bit cheesy, but some of this film, like the opening scene, we'll probably dive around all over the place.
Yeah.
But because what you were just saying about going back to Themyscira, I thought that was awesome. I love Themyscira. It's because it's such a unique setting for the DC.
But you can
universe.
have that scene just as young Gal Gadot.
And young Diana. She's played brilliantly by
the actress,
and I kind of. But like when I was just going into the film and that was what I was watching, I was on board. I was like, okay, I'm willing to let this. Like, she's young girl. She's been, because, like you said, she wouldn't have been that powerful in her ability.
Or if she was that powerful, like people would have gone, she should definitely be trained. She's beat all the best Amazonian fighters.
And the score's really good in that opening. Like the Hans Zimmer, he did but I'll tell you what, I've got some problems with the score in this film.
Hey guys, time for some verbal diarrhea from the editing booth. See, the best part about editing these is you get to add in things you forgot to say at the time. So just there when I mentioned problems that I had with the score in this film, I thought it was insanity that the last trailer that dropped for this film had one of the most awesome scores over a trailer I've ever heard. It was a cover of Blue Monday by Baltic House Orchestra, and it is just so epic, and I can't believe they didn't use it in the final film. I'm sure that wasn't a complete waste of money. Also, on the subject of the score, Hans Zimmer. Everyone loves Hans Zimmer. I love Hans Zimmer. Incredible. But what's he doing reusing tracks from other films? His score from the film Sunshine, which he uses in this, is incredible and it does fit perfectly. But using Beautiful Lie from Batman v Superman, how dare you? How dare you? I don't think it was Hans Zimmer, but I know Patty Jenkins said that they used it as a placeholder, which means that they put a track there that they liked that sounded similar to something they wanted to create for the final cut. But instead they ended up just leaving it and going with that. The thing is, that track is so iconic and links so strongly to Ben Affleck's Batman and Zack Snyder's work. While using it here does elevate the scene, that's the problem. It's the music that's elevating the scene, and the film hasn't worked hard enough to earn it. Rant over.
But it's like got a solid opening score, and it's like, okay, we're going with this, whatever. Then when we jump to the 80s, it's just so cheesy, and I think I wrote in here, it felt like you're watching a commercial rather than a film. Like it feels like you're watching like a Walmart commercial, like an Americanized, like, and I get that's kind of part of the point, but like when you put that next to the original Wonder Woman, just black and white, it's so crazy.
It just feels like we said, it feels like a first treatment. Like it goes into things where I go, oh, really? That's what you went like. That's what you went with as a final.
I'd have thought when I was watching it for the third time, if this was a comic, this would be horrendous.
Yes, that's a very good point.
You've got these big, huge, epic, larger-than-life characters, and this is a film. This is a film about Maxwell Lord. And not Maxwell Lord from the comics, who kind of like becomes an adversary for the Justice League, and Wonder Woman ends up breaking his neck at one point. I thought they were going to go there at the end. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's why she disappears from Man's World. And that. But I was overthinking it. No, she just...
No.
But,
we'll get to the ending,
But But yeah, it's like he's involved with like the Justice League and all this sort of stuff in the comics, and this is just, it's just a story about this guy who dwindles, like he's a Wolf of Wall Street kind of guy, and then wants a magic rock. I think one of the best things you said to me was about, like, why doesn't he just wish for money?
Well, yeah, that
Like-
really,
like
I
if
didn't
you-
understand his problems, like, because they set up his character, and you know Pedro Pascal plays a good part of.
I
He's a
love
very
Pedro
good actor.
Pascal.
He's a
and
very good actor.
in this, if this wasn't a Wonder Woman film, I was watching something different. He's amazing in this.
Yeah.
I like the character. He's just going for it. Like
Yeah.
he's at like
Yeah,
110%.
I believe he's, you know,
life is good.
But it can be better.
I was like you. I was kind of on board. You know, even the opening scene of the little girl. I came to that conclusion after I'd seen the rest of the film. I was willing to let it go.
Yeah, that's what I mean. At the time,
even
you're like,
you know,
oh, okay.
in the shopping mall. I nearly said supermarket, but shopping mall. If you're American, even in the shopping mall where she, you know, she saves everyone, does everything. I was like, okay, that's very wonderful, and I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
I was even, you know, when Pedro Pascal, he saw his boy. He's hemorrhaging money. It comes from, no, I don't want to be a loser to my son. Okay, I get that. And then he gets the Rock, and he wishes to be the Rock, which for me I was like, right, your problem stems that you have no money. Why, I don't understand why he wants power. He wants enough money. If he wished for 200 million in the 80s, he'd be set for life.
Oh,
Let alone a billion. It never understood to me why he wished to be the Rock.
Yeah.
He just turns into Dwayne Johnson.
It's the
Who wouldn't wish to be the Rock? Yeah.
What a man.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's like the story is just so convoluted, and it all revolves around this magic rock element, which sometimes they give rules to the magic and sometimes they don't. Like they feel the need to go way above and beyond with Steve coming back and explaining that he's this other guy. Yeah. But she can see him, like when he comes back. There were so many things in this film I enjoyed, like little bits and pieces. Like when Steve's return, the way they filmed that was really clever because there's someone who kind of looks a bit Chris Piney and he says Diana and it's Chris Pine's voice. Yeah. And then it goes back to not being Chris Pine's voice. And then the camera pans around and I think it might be the back of his head, but not the back of Chris Pine's head. Yeah. As it comes around, it's a one shot and apparently they just switch the actors in and out. Yeah. Like, it was clever. But then when we had to go on this tangent about he's this guy that's been dropped in, he's now been dropped into this person's body and explaining that whole, I get it, it's kind of supposed to be like a jokey kind of like 80s quantum leap body swap kind of thing, but they go all out of their way to explain that. And then the end of the film is just chaos, just pure, everyone's wishing things up the wazoo, and it's like...
they keep doing this thing where they keep referring to the monkeys.
I just said wishing things up the wazoo.
Wonder Woman 84, hashtag wishing things up the wazoo. That is a f***ing good way to explain it. I wouldn't be surprised if that was in the script. Yeah. But there's this weird kind of thing they keep doing to explain The Rock as saying the monkey's paw. Now, if you don't know the monkey's paw, it's I think the Twilight episode, but I think it might have been a short story before where...
Twilight Zone, not the vampire thing.
Yeah, not the vampire, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But so, the monkey's paw, you get a wish, but it's like if you get it from the devil, that you lose something, or there's a kitsch, or there's something you don't quite know. But something bad will happen. Like, your greatest desire is also your downfall. It's very, linked to something.
It grants you a wish, but takes you
like in Greek mythology, like Achilles' fate was also linked to his death. Like, it's all this sort of thing of how be careful what you wish for. That's the grand scheme of things. But the monkey's paw is this MacGuffin that expresses that. But if you, like a lot of people now, weren't born and saw that episode or don't know what it is, it makes no sense. Like, if you say someone to monkey's paw, no, but you genuinely, like, if you don't know that, you won't know that. Yeah. And they keep using it as a way to say it.
They try and explain away enough, like, I think when they're reading like about them from the Mayan text and they're like, so it grants you a wish, it's like a wish with a trick, like the monkeys. But I get what you're saying, it's very like...
But it's a very... What I'm saying is, they keep coming back to the monkey's paw rather than just explaining The Rock once. Yeah. And that was very odd to me that they keep going... Okay, in the 80s, that episode probably would have been good, but Steve Trevor says it at one point, and I'm like, hang on, you're from World War One.
I don't know if it's specifically from that episode. I think it's got...
Like I said, it was probably a short story. It's a legend, it's a short story that keeps going.
Yeah. Again, it's just... they put so much detail into that and then just leave out
so much more
other things. And the opening scene in the mall, Maul, Darth Maul. The opening scene in the Darth Maul.
Kenobi.
That's just, you can show that to a kid, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Superhero films, especially DC superhero films, have always found a hard way of towing the line between making an adult film and a kids film.
Yes.
Like Marvel have it down to a T, where there's adult storylines in there, but there's enough action and like bright and colourful explosions and everything's going on that a kid will go and sit and watch through that film. I would never show this to a kid. Like it's got like 3 action beats in it, which kind of like traditional for like your film. But this is 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And it's just
long.
all about Maxwell Lord and this wishing stone. This is so boring. Like this is just a boring film because I want to see Wonder Woman. I want to see, why did it not lean more heavily into like the whole Greek mythos? Like in the first film about Ares, there's so much to draw from there about her.
Once you establish the Greek pantheon, I think there's so much more to go from that. Like, the stone was from this god. Okay, you can establish other gods, but
they don't name the god, but they say he's a very bad god.
Naughty.
But that's all.
That's literally one thing they did.
That's all the thing they give about. They go into all this detail about the stone. But you could have had like, oh no, this is, if you want to go other pantheons, go, oh, this is from Loki.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who Loki is.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they don't want to step on Marvel's toes, but then you can go...
I can see why they wouldn't want to do that, the whole trickster element.
But then you can go...
Supernatural did a really good trickster thing.
Yes, they did.
Sorry? Sorry for what?
Yeah.
But then you could go, okay, well, this is from Hades, or this is from Hermes, or the Greek gods in legend are very cruel to mortals.
Yeah.
You know, like this is a game that they would play, or this is...
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like if you want to have that some sort of MacGuffin and not really explain it or have it just...
Yeah.
Why have it? Why not just go Greek with it? I don't understand.
Literally on the part of my notes where that part come out and I'm like, God elements interesting, gods imbue items with universal elements that become powerful, like her lasso. Like that whole thing, that was really, really cool. And like, but now we have to go to Egypt because of Maxwell Lord, and Steve has no passport but wants to fly a plane.
Okay, and this is something that really bothered me because if you don't know, becoming a pilot is very hard. It's very hard in terms of flying like a commercial jet or like a fighter jet. It's a real hard thing to get into. You could go at 50 and apply for a license to drive a propeller plane. Like a propeller. Say that.
Propeller plane.
To drive a prop plane. You can go for 50
plane.
Yeah. You can go to fly one. You can do that license with no qualifications. Steve gets in a jet and flies it.
Yeah.
And he's got all these... It's one of these radars and things. I was like... And then he gets in... There's actually a line where he says, oh, it's easy. And I'm like, well, apparently so.
Like... Yeah, I think the point you're getting at is a man who knows how to fly a plane from his time period would not just get in a jet.
Those were the first planes.
And you know what? It comes back to the thing of what I said about, and I've written it so many times in here, in a good film, I'd let it go. Yeah. I'd let it go. Yeah. And then there's the whole bit where Zeus, her father, made the island disappear. So she's been trying and been successful once in 50 years, but now creates an invisible plane. Go f*** yourself. That's what. And look, in a better film, tick. Like that part, like, yeah, it was awesome to see the invisible jet.
Hey there, Wonder Woman. Flying your invisible plane, I see.
Boy, this is awkward. I'm actually in the lavatory of the invisible plane.
Oh, you mean right now you're...
Yeah.
Like, it was like to take that out of context, the Invisible was cool. I love that bit where they go up in the plane there, the fireworks, the score's amazing. And then they even have that conversation where she's like, I've never understood flight, it's always been your thing. And he's like, like you said, it's easy.
Yeah.
But he's just like catching wind and riding wind. And that ties back into when she learns to fly. Like that, like those little beats, I love those because Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, together, their chemistry is awesome. They're so good on screen together. And so those little beats, especially because then she has to give up Steve. And so it's like his gift to her is learning to fly, even though she kind of doesn't fly. She's kind of like riding wind and stuff. But in a film that's 2.5 hours long, and you take like just 1 second to be like, oh yeah, I've been practicing for years trying to do what my dad Zeus did and make the island disappear. It was just... Ugh.
That's the thing as well when we said first draft. There are good concepts there when like Dana having to give up Steve. There's good concepts, but it... Like first treatment, it feels like they should have been rounded off better.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it read differently, but...
Yeah, like the scene where she flies, like you've got the score from Sunshine, like Hans Zimmer score from like the film, I'm sure it's from the film Sunshine, plays over the top, like it's amazing. You take that scene just out of context, her learning to fly. Wonder Woman's flight has always been a little bit weird in the films we've seen her in so far. She's never been able to do it, but we know she can do it from the comics. Were they going to do it or not? That scene's gorgeous, but it's just like such a short, fun bit in a film that's just... It's about Maxwell Lord and this wishing stone, and it's just so boring.
And I get.
By the way, these are our opinions.
Yeah, these are our opinions.
If you loved WW84,
fair play to you. Fair play.
Amazing.
This is just how we felt. And once again, like we said, it's not that we hate it or we're shitting on the DC universe, because if Wonder Woman was carrying the DC universe, we're really hoping for this to be good. It's that this has a lot of good concepts that we felt weren't spent enough time on.
Yeah,
is that fair to say?
Yeah,
they weren't.
All the great bits that I love in this are just like fleeting moments, or just 5 minutes here and there.
Yeah.
But the rest is just overtaken by this horrible storyline.
Yeah.
Like I said, that feels like it was written in the 80s. Like, it's a Wonder Woman film.
Yeah.
This is a film about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And she's barely in it.
Yeah. And there's real great moments in Wonder Woman 1 where you get this like clash of these views popular in the 1915 whatever in those times, and she clashes with them, but she's right, but she's not stupid, she's naive, like when she's obviously going into the war room and gobbing off the generals, which is a great indictment of World War I, of these generals sending these men just to die, and them sitting there and pushing people around on the map and sending them to die, and then I think there's a brilliant point where she says to Steve, what I do is not up to you, like, because she doesn't experience that kind of, it's not men and women are equal on Themyscira, it's people do what they want if they're strong enough.
We just do what's right. There's right and wrong. And
Steve's like, well, you don't tell me what to do. I decide what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, and she's obviously coming from a very black and white, like right and wrong. Yeah. And man's world that she's come into is now what they call man's world. Yeah. Is all greys. Yeah. And so
it's tones of grey, because he's a spy. He lies. Exactly. And he admits it. That's what I do.
The big huge perfect example of that is the No Man's Land sequence, where she's like, we're going to help this. It's giving me shivers now just thinking about it. After I watched this film for the first time, Wonder Woman 1984, after I watched this for the first time, and I think I said this to you when we spoke about it, I said, it made me question whether Gal Gadot, whether she's a good actor or not. And I then went back to watch the original Wonder Woman, and I said to you, I absolutely loved it. I forgot how much I loved it. It was one of those, I saw it in the cinema once, and then I probably saw once after that. And like you, the only thing that I didn't like so much was kind of the last 15 minutes of the film. But after watching 84, It's incredible, that film.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's such an amazing film. And it's not that Gal Gadot is a bad actress. She just, in this film, she's working with what she's given.
Yeah.
And, like, again, there's moments where she's amazing. But some of the stuff she has to do in this film is just terrible.
Yeah, it's... Because you can't... No matter what sort of actor you... I mean, some actors have, made films even though the critics or people didn't like it. But it's hard to push a film forward when you're working with what you're working with. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Actors, directors, writers, they're paid a lot. They're not in a bad boat. Let's get that straight there. But for crew behind the scenes, if you're sound or if you're lighting or stunts, whatever, if you get the shot right, it doesn't matter. You'll work again. And as soon as that job's finished, you'll go on to something else.
Yeah.
They'll go on to, like, the guy who was in charge of lighting on that, the gaffer, his name's Wayne King, actually. And I'm not joking. That's genuinely. I'm not kidding. The guy who did the reshoot's name is Wayne King. And but he's gone on to so many more things, and his career skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So the crew never wears a bad film. And like I said, that was filmed in 2019. You might be on 5 projects.
Yeah, you just keep going.
You just keep going. And it's also, this will ruin the magic for you. If you see an interview like on Graham Norton, whatever, and that actor's talking about the film as if they've just come off of it, no, that's been... that could have even been 2 years previously.
It's also
before.
those interviews are never filmed on the day that they say they're being filmed.
No, of course, yeah. So everyone likes to think, the trailer's come out, like they must have filmed it, and now the trailer, no.
Yeah, but kind of what you're saying, like, the crew's job is not to make a good film. It's for them to execute what needs to be done so that the director and then the editors can put a good film together.
Well, that's it. So we get the shots. We get the shots.
Exactly.
We make sure we hit our marks. We get all their shots. We get the lighting right. We get it so that all the stuff they've got together, they can make, like the editors, the directors, they can make something out of it, the producers. And if everything you've shot is a mess and everything you've edited is a mess, it's going to be a mess. Yeah. And the directors and the actors wear it.
Yeah.
But you know what, they get paid a lot, so...
Yeah, exactly. And they've announced that Patty Jenkins is coming back for Wonder Woman 3 after... It's weird because you can't really judge films at the moment by their box office. Like, this did well from a box office perception. Obviously, it's HBO Max, and I think it came out in cinemas around the world in places we weren't able to see it because we were locked down when it came out. But it did well, but it did well in a year where everything else did terrible. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think this would have done well if we were in a normal situation. Just because
did it do well?
They were like, it did better than Tenet, but Tenet did no business. Do you know what I mean? It's like saying it, that's what I'm saying. In a year of like bad, it did well.
And Tenet's apparently a really good film because it's Nolan, and apparently it's Nolan when he's very good.
Have you not seen it?
I've not seen Tenet.
It's different. It's a different story. It's just ridiculous. I think Nolan went too. My personal.
Oh, is he went too far?
I don't like
even
it.
After Inception.
I don't
and
like
Interstellar.
It. I think Inception and Interstellar is perfect. Like, that's his wheelhouse, and he just went. It just went. Oh, Chris Nolan! It's amazing, but it gave me a head. Like, and it's not like. Because the thing with Chris Nolan films is like, did you get it though? Did you get it? Like, do you understand it? Like, I got it completely, and I even got some things before you're supposed to know what's happening.
Oh, okay. Usually that never happens. Yeah.
But it was just so much. It's like
really,
you're just like watching it so intently because there's so much going on, and it's so complex. It just gave me a headache.
Oh wow!
But it's a good film, but I think he just went too Nolan. Never go full Nolan. That's a thing.
You've gone too Nolan.
You never go full Nolan.
Oh wow! Well, I'll have to watch that. I haven't not watched that because I didn't think I'd heard good reviews or because I didn't like it. It was just because
it's just a hard year to see stuff in general. But the reason I brought that up was like box office numbers and things like that. It's hard. It's difficult to keep track of. Not that that's a sign of a good film either. But I think this has had, now it's been out a while, this has had mixed reviews. You get what you always get, which is the film comes out and everyone's like, the film companies, Warner Brothers, give it out to specific critics and certain social media influencers and bloggers and things like that.
And they always go, wow!
They all big it up because that's what they've got to do. And then the rest of the world,
they want to stay where they are.
And then the rest of the world sees it and goes, oh, okay. Like, and I really hated this film because my expectations were so high from Wonder Woman, from the original Wonder Woman. But there's some great stuff in there, and that it just.
We said first draft.
Yeah, look, where was it?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 1984, the first draft with a stupid amount of detail.
Yeah.
Because you say first draft, like, I'll outline you a first draft for a Wonder Woman sequel film in a minute. Like, it's going to have not that much detail. It's going to be very vague. But this is like a first draft idea, and then they just poured all their like effort into it. There was no thinking about. This is a Wonder Woman film. Yeah. It's a Wonder Woman film, and it's all about Maxwell Lord. One of my biggest problems with this film is the villain.
Really?
Because Barbara Minerva, Cheetah, Wonder Woman as
Wonder Woman's Joker, essentially.
Yeah, it's weird because when most people think of Wonder Woman, she's not got the best rogues gallery. No. Like, she's very obviously people up there like Batman and Spider-Man and things like that.
Superman.
But, yeah. If you know the character really well, a lot of people tend to think he doesn't have that good a rogues gallery, but there's plenty in there. But Wonder Woman has always struggled, specifically in the comics, with having like a strong, like a Lex Luthor or a Joker or a, Green Goblin, whatever, those big iconic villains. Yeah. Cheetah is someone that actually doesn't really appear that much in the comics. She's kind of fleeting. She comes in and out, and she's written by different writers and depicted in different ways, and there's been loads of iterations of the character. But she is, and I think it's one of those things where it's down to design. Visually, she's an incredible villain, and I think that's why she's become so associated with Wonder Woman being like her big name. Most people would say, oh yeah, Cheetah, Wonder Woman, it's like Batman, Joker. Yeah. Even though it's not really the case, like in recent reiterations, like Rebirth and New 52, they've tried to lean on like the Greek god mythology side of things, Ares, all that jazz.
Ares is much more the is much more the thorn in her side, but I think because Ares is more personal because she's from the gods. But I would say Cheetah felt like a personal villain. You know what I mean? So things between Lex and Clark and Superman are personal. Things between Batman and Joker are personal.
They're always you get. Obviously, it depends. Different writers write it, but I think the best iterations are when Wonder Woman, she cares so much for Barbara because they're friends. Yeah. And she's seen this horrible thing happen to her friend, and her mission is to try and save Barbara. Like, that's always her thing, is to try and stop her, but save her. Yeah. And Kristen Wiig is amazing. And she, like Gal, does incredible with what she's given in this film. Yeah. But this tired trope of, again, it's like it's fresh out of the 80s. Yeah. This tired trope of someone who's just so, society is just put down, and she's kind of, everyone looks down on her. It's the, wherever Barbara Minerva character, go f*** yourself, Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, Riddler from Batman Forever, Catwoman from Batman Returns. These characters that are portrayed as like so overly nerdy, and people talk down to them like they're trash, and they're like these weak people, and then they get given power and they just go blah, and it just goes crazy. Why not make, I'm going to spoil my rewrite of Wonder Woman 1984 now, but I said this to you before, why not make her, and it's even been done in one of the, I think it's a year one comics for Wonder Woman, make her like a Indiana Jones, Lara Croft character. Like, make her strong and powerful, and then she becomes this villain. But in this, it's just so, it's a tired trope. She's like, oh, like leopard print shoes to Diana, and she walks past a model of a cheetah in the background. It feels like you're back in X-Men days where they're taking the mickey out of like, well, what we're going to do, wear yellow spandex. And it's like, no, you can do this stuff in the comics now because we're in that kind of world where you can do that. Why are you trying to hide it? It's like she turns up in the White House scene and she's wearing like just like all like animal print, and it's just, And the way she becomes Cheetah in this is just
it's ridiculous.
They write one line in there where it's like, I want to be an apex predator. That's when she gets her second wish, by the way, which apparently...
But because you only got one, but no, you get two. He gets two, because he is the stone.
I guess it's like if you had a wish before when it was the stone, but now he's the stone, so he gets to grant a second wish, whatever. But it's just such a bad version of how... Like, what in God? Like, she wishes to be something like that's never existed, that's like an apex predator, and it's like, okay. And then she just becomes that. It's like, what the f? And it's like, why? So do all those previous little nuggets of you being like, oh, she likes animal print shoes, and now she's wearing animal print. It's like, what? Is that like foreshadowing her turn into this
it's like, I think it's all this detail, then none at all.
Yeah.
It's very odd. Like, it's...
all the detail in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's all this kind of effort and put onto, this, and then, but no, not really. Yeah, it was very odd.
I know another thing. I'm so glad I brought notes. This is what happens when you get drunk and watch a film when you know you're going to do a podcast. I was just sitting there like third time, just like making notes. One thing that really bothered me about this film as well, and you know what? In a minute, I will go through, like, for me personally, the things I really enjoyed about this film.
That must be because you feel like, I feel like I'm shit.
Because I do feel like I'm just shit on it. But we're not just going to shit on it, we're going to shit on it, we're going to make it better, we're going to rewrite it.
Yeah.
But
you're welcome, Warner Brothers.
yeah, get ready. Where did I write about it? Here we go. The moral of this story makes absolutely no sense. Or the way they try and play it, yeah? Right. Here you go. I actually really like the idea. This is my thing with this film. I like the idea of this. I like the idea of that.
Yes.
The execution is just piss poor.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of a character like Wonder Woman embodying truth and being this symbol of truth. The way she saves the world isn't in a big climactic battle, kind of like the first one, which some people didn't love so much. But it's like she saves the world by making a speech. Do you know what I mean? I kind of like that idea, and I kind of like the element of the lasso and the trick at the end.
I thought it was f***ing stupid.
No, but I'm saying it is f***ing stupid. Yeah. But I think there's a version of that where you can write it really well. Where
practicality.
Where she saves the world because of who she is, not what she does.
Yeah.
That's
a good concept. Yeah, but how it
But at the end when she's lying there and she's like all upset and the lasso's blowing around and she can't get it and he's
I'm not talking to you, and I'm like, I get it, it's, faith in humanity, whatever.
Standing there in a big blue light like all superhero films used to end.
One of the missteps for me, I just will say on that ending scene, because it's in my mind now.
I feel like we're getting into this now.
Is that, okay, first it touches everyone all over the world. I thought, that's f***ing stupid, but okay, I see what they're trying to do.
Again, in a better film, you'd let it go. But it's something about like quantum beams and they
touch and he's like, I'm like, oh, really? I said, well, you know what? Everyone's air's touching each other,
Pedro Pascal in this is so good. I love him when he's doing like his 110% Maxwell Lord, but it's not. That's not not Maxwell Lord, and two, it's just a terrible story. But the moral of the story, because that opening scene is kind of what's supposed to set it up. The idea is, young Diana, she cheats. She knowingly cheats. She and I think you took the short path, Diana. You cheated. No true hero is born from lies. Yeah, and you can really, really try hard to weave that into this narrative of this film, about that happening. But Diana doesn't cheat.
No.
She holds a magic rock and thinks, I know what I'd wish for. And then Steve shows up and she's like, what the? And now it's like a mission to try and keep him up.
Yeah, because those two things...
It's not like she knowingly... It's not like she went to a god or something, or even if it was a magic rock, and knowingly said, I've had enough. Gal Gadot is amazing in this when she's talking to Steve. She's like, I give everything every day.
I was just about to bring that up.
Why can't I just have this one thing?
That's a good scene where she's like, do you know how lonely I am? And if you've seen her, eating alone, she's like, I just want this one. Why can't I just have this one thing? And I go, that's good. Yeah. That's a really good scene in that film which expresses, I do everything for everyone. I'm always selfless.
says
I
it's
just
fine.
want.
She says it's fine.
I don't want anyone else.
Yeah.
I just want you.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's like I felt that. I was like, yeah, that's a good scene in this film. That's really good.
So my point is, it's not like she went to someone and said, "I wish for Steve Trevor back."
Yeah.
But the point is, he turns up and then she has to sacrifice him. Which again, that's a great scene when they say goodbye and he just kind of goes and she says, "I love you," and she's running and you see the frustration on her face. But then it's immediately ruined by the fact that she throws her lasso like 1,000,000 feet into the air. The lasso, the lasso of truth in this is just all over the place. It's like when I was sitting there watching the film for the first time with Ellie, she was like, "Is Wonder Woman Spider-Man now?" Because
that's a perfectly good explanation.
It's just so like very over the top. It's used really well in points. Again, when they're in the White House and she's spinning it, it's deflecting the bullets. Well, it was in the trailer, we saw it. Yeah. But then bits like that where she just like, I can't remember what she grabs hold of. I think it's like the top of a building or something and pulls herself up, and that's when she learns to fly, which is awesome. But there's moments where, like in the Egyptian road truck scene, and a bullet goes past her, and I thought she was going to whip it out of Steve's way, but she catches it. She catches a bullet and then flings it, and it's just like, some stuff is just so cheesy in a bad way. Like, Christopher Reeve era, right? Christopher Reeve era. Again, that's like propeller plane. Yes. 3 times fast. Yeah. DC struggles so much with finding the balance of good superhero humour and serious adult tone. Like Marvel knocks it out of the park all the time. This is just so over the top cheesy. It just comes across as bad. And like, I'll give you an example. One of the best versions I've seen in a DC thing done well, when Supergirl first came out, and I watched Supergirl on the CW, watched it on and off, and there's a moment where she's flying overhead and she goes past the school and these girls are bullying this girl. She flies down and she talks to the girl, x-rays her bag, sees her name, she's like, "Hey Lily, how you doing?" Or whatever her name is. And she like talks to her and they're like, "Oh my God, you're friends with Supergirl." And she's like, "Oh yeah, she's my best friend." And she flies off. Like, that's kind of like a light-hearted moment where it shows you the heart of the character and how they are or whatever. But in this, it's just so much cheese because of the 80s setting. It's so over the top, it's so flamboyant, it's so colourful.
What's strange to me about that is that Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, everyone loved, and the tone is darker. So I don't get where the gear change comes from. I'm
not for. Well, what happened is Batman v Superman came out, and then Warner Brothers went, "Oh, this is." But surely, I'm saying from a studio point of view. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not. I'm all for. Like, personally, I actually prefer her darker costume, but I'm all for like the bright colours. But your story's got to be strong enough to support it.
And I can't perhaps the studios have never seen the animated stuff. And the point really to Justice League is, you can have darkness and someone else be the light. Like, Batman is a perfect example in the Justice League. Batman does not stray from being the Dark Knight in the Justice League at all. Yeah. He's Batman 100% of the time. And it's funny, because he's never smiling. He stares people out, and they can't have to deal with it. You've got him interacting with the Flash. Yeah. He falls out of a plane at one point, and he goes, "I need someone to catch me because I can't fly at all." And he's just falling, and he's totally deadpan. He's totally deadpan.
That's why people got so annoyed with Justice League, because he's like cracking jokes. He's the humour of Batman comes from what happens around him and his response to it in like such a just a this kind of way.
Well, that would have been to go back to another terrible film, Justice League. The bit where Ezra Miller,
the Snyder Cut,
Ezra Miller is flashing all around the Batcave.
Yeah.
And just to have, it would have been brilliant if the end of that scene is he flashes and he's just next to Batman and Batman's just staring at him.
Yeah.
Because that's how it would be. Batman's just staring at him, like
maybe
annoyed.
Don't do that. Or something like
But that's how it works. You don't have to and you can have the world be dark and Wonder Woman be the light, like she was in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, she's constantly trying to do the right thing and doing the hard thing because she knows it to be right. She's constantly, fighting essentially fighting the world because the world is at war.
Yeah.
To try and make them be better. You know, even if some people would say she's, you know, fighting a lost cause or whatever, and she goes, no, this is right. So you can have her be that. So you don't have to have the entire world around it be like that.
I just burped that way. Internally, I'm like, that's going to come up on the mic.
That had so much space on it.
Exactly. And I don't care about the tone. I don't care whether you go way over the top or whether it's dark and gritty or it's somewhere in between. But the story's got to be good enough. And this is a 2.5-hour film where we just get hardly any Wonder Woman, and Maxwell Lord is centre stage, and he's just kind of, he doesn't know what it wants to be. This film doesn't know what it wants to be.
You don't have to keep putting the world in danger. The stakes don't have to be that high. Like, the world was in danger,
I know what you mean.
I couldn't give a shit.
It kind of does, but that's...
okay, Civil War. The only thing that was at stake were the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was totally gripped. But with this, okay, I get maybe you want high stakes, whatever. The stakes ranked up so high from the wishing of it. Oh, they're in Egypt. Oh, now the world's in danger.
Nukes.
Oh, it's this.
Give us more nukes.
And I was like, I don't care. I genuinely didn't care. Like, I was like, I know, I don't care that the world's in danger.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. It was, and that's because it lacked any, like, my Wonder Woman film, my Wonder Woman sequel, but I haven't written, but I'm probably going to. But I would have had... Look, why lose Maxwell Lord if you want a big overarching villain behind the scenes, because that's what it should be, behind the scenes, not out in front with your other villain. And I've got a big overarching villain in my film. But it should have been Cheetah. It should have all been about Cheetah, and it should have been their personal relationship, and they're so close, and she has to save her. She has to stop her and save her. Cheetah in this, there was when Barbara's beating up that guy, you know, when she comes out, she's running down the street, and she sees the guy who kind of attacked her at in the opening scene, like was grabbing hold of her and stuff. When she then turns on that guy, again, that little bit is so good. Like, I literally wrote down here, it's like excellent. She's
and
like,
how she plays it as well, where she just goes, no.
She's like, no. And then she goes, no.
Yeah.
And then she grabs him, and they did something in the music with this, which is incredible. It was so small, but it was so good. The Wonder Woman theme is obviously that like iconic, which has become iconic. Every time Cheetah's on screen, you just get a. It's scary. It goes in your spine a little bit. It's like and it's the start of the Wonder Woman theme.
Yeah,
because obviously she's wished to be her.
More like her.
So it's like kind of like two sides of the same coin sort of thing. And then she beats the shit out of that guy. Yeah, she kicks him 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then the 5th time he goes flying, and the guy is just done. And she's feeling all powerful and stuff. And that was a really good little element.
Yeah,
she just becomes
really
a Cheetah
good
person.
Yeah. But that element was good, and she's like really fast. And even the guy she usually gave food goes, Barbara, what have you done? And she's got mind your business.
Mind your business. And she leaves. And it's like, it's like you can see the progression start to happen.
But that's good, because that's her slowly giving in to the power,
it's the power,
which is good. Which I like that, because it's okay. You said the power trope, but I like that it's it's slowly pushing her, like she's. She doesn't care that men find her interesting anymore because she's bored of that. She saw that guy, she felt that she'd wronged him, and now she feels good in the power she's exercised. Yeah. Like, because he's a dick, but she didn't have to take it that far, but she doesn't need to be a victim either, but she's giving into it. Do you know what I mean? I like that she's giving into it, and she played that. Kristen Wiig. Is it Kirsten or Kristen? Kristen Wiig played that really well. She played it really well. But then you get, I don't want to be. I want to be an apex predator. Second wish, and it's like, well, what the f*** does that mean?
Yeah, I know. And she's
what
kind of protecting Maxwell Lord, because it's just so strange.
It is.
And then we get no Cheetah. Mm-hmm. We get a 5 minute. Well, not 5 minutes, but it's fleeting compared to the 2.5 hours that this film is. Yeah. But like shot in the dark, you can't really see. I love the Cheetah design. I'd be happy to keep that. Maybe I'd like to have seen a bit more of a practical element put in, especially as cosplayers and like love
Yes.
costume design and things like
Yeah.
that. Perfect example would be like Have you seen Swamp Thing?
I've seen the trailers. I haven't actually seen it.
Oh my god!
Well, because they cast it after one season.
Yeah, that's why I never watched it. Because
Yeah.
I was like, damn it! I was like, the show looked incredible, and I was like, and there was a whole big. I'm not going into it now, but there's a whole big production thing behind that costume they made for it as a real costume. It was phenomenal.
Really,
the design is insane, and the series itself is really, really good. You see it kind of rushes to the end at the end because they were cancelled and their episodes dropped down. I'd have liked to see like a practical, actual version of that character rather than because you can tell it's CG.
Yeah,
but because again, when they're fighting and she's coming at Diana and she's just. It's just like pure rage. Like she's got the wings closed and she's just taking her apart, and you can kind of see her coming at her. That like little bits like that was so good. You could see where a good Cheetah villain in a Wonder Woman film could be done. But at that point, you just don't care. And what she's wearing the gold armor for no reason because she's got her powers back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah.
She literally gets her powers back and then goes and puts on the gold armor to go and fight. Like it
feels like another
more
thing.
sense if she put that on when she had lost her powers.
That's what I thought the armor was going to be about.
Like a kind of like mech suit for Batman. He's like, I've got to stay alive.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought she was going to put on that armor. It still wasn't going to be enough, and then she would have to a point where she had to relinquish Steve. I thought that's what was going to happen, and then no, she just put on the armor.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was. Barbara's wish was taking her powers. Like, do you know what I mean? I thought it was kind of like an opposite reaction sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
But then you learn, obviously, it's to do with Steve because it takes your greatest thing. But yeah, I didn't even. Do you know what? I tried to. I think I got look. I made like pages of notes. I'm two. This is the last note I made. Yeah. I'm 2 hours into writing notes on this piece of film. I'm done. I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do it anymore.
But
like,
the thing with locations and and scenery and whatever, you could have filmed this somewhere else. I didn't understand. I didn't understand.
Well, the placement for no reason.
For no reason, because the World War I reason is very good because Diana gets to see humanity possibly at its most destructive of its own race of people.
Yeah.
So World War I was like it was just a grinder of slow, terrible death, and the whole world, is feeling austerity. They call it the Great War. They didn't think they'd anything like it again. And Diana is pushed into this world where she's trying to make sense of all of it. Yeah. But the 80s, okay, she's, she has to live for a certain period. The 80s made no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
It was, I think where it came from is you have to remember the setting for this film. When they started even putting it together, you were still tied up in the DC dilemma of BVS, and she said she'd gone away for 100 years, and they'd she'd been missing for 100 years or something. And so you had, I guess they kind of wanted to either fill in that gap or they didn't know what was happening with the DC universe currently, and so they went, we're just going to steer clear of present timeline.
I think going on what you said about Barbara being a Indiana Jones character, you could have set this in Themyscira.
That's where my film takes place.
Fire segue.
I think we've spoken about enough about the film and what we did like.
And it might come back of things what we changed.
Yeah, exactly. I've just got here one of the last notes I made was, this isn't mine. I stole this from somewhere. Because after I watched it, I watched a couple of reviews just to be like, this is the very first time, which is just going on the internet to confirm your own bias. But but I think it was one of those honest trailer things or something.
Oh yes,
and you know, it was because it made me laugh so much. And Maxwell Lords says to her, she's like, oh, I don't have a TV. And he's like, I can get your TV, 19 inches or that, no strings attached or whatever. And then she's like, I don't own a TV. I'll stick to the one I don't have. Yeah. I've got it written down here because it was one of the things from this video. It's like, Diana goes back to her apartment and turns on all the TVs she doesn't have.
Oh, yes.
She literally goes into a room and it's full of TVs. Yeah. Not my joke.
That's very good.
Not my joke, but made me laugh so much. But after that, one other thing I did really like, the Asteria story, and where the golden armor comes from. And because it gives a little flashback to how she was the last person, like Hippolyta, to free the Amazonians, but one had to stay behind to protect them from men, to hold the men off. And it's like just like a shot like from Wonder Woman, the original film. It's quite dark, and it's and you can just see her holding. And they're oh my god, I'm blanking. What's the original Wonder Woman's name? The actress.
Oh, it's Linda Carter.
Linda Carter. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. You see, it's Linda Carter's eyes. You can tell. I thought that was enough. I hated the bit at the end where she just showed up.
That's the one. Can I just say that took 23 fucking takes. That took 23 fucking takes.
Did the log just keep hitting her on the head?
No, they just weren't happy with it. So, but it took, and we all took bets on how long.
I can tell why, because it was appalling. Like, it was just so cheesy. It was just like have her cameo in a different way. Like, I love the fact that the Asteria thing, the gold armor, she's holding them off, and you can see it's her eyes. Like it's, and most people wouldn't have caught that, but you could have had it go on a bit further, whatever. But
also, how they did that is that, bless Gal Gadot's not Gal Gadot's body double stunt woman, but another stunt woman who's Australian or New Zealand.
I've seen her. Yeah.
She held essentially, like, they were two kick pads like that.
Yeah.
And held it, and all those guys really hit those shields. And if you haven't seen those guys were massive.
Yeah.
All of them
came
in
the bit where the men, like the red capes.
Yeah, in the red capes. Yeah. They're kind of like pseudo Spartans.
Yeah.
And they all smacked the out of that, and she just held it. So fair play to her.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But was there anything else?
Oh, I will say before we go on to your film, is that I didn't like how they did Steve in the 80s. I felt there was a lot you could play with there, because Steve entered a world where they were still sending messages. Steve was from a world where they were still sending messages by runners in the First World War.
Yeah.
And now he's in a world with phone and televisions.
Yeah.
Like, I think there could have been more of a culture shock. I think they could have done, if you wanted to go darker tone, they could have done him having PTSD, because they didn't understand that from the First World War.
Yeah, I think
and him kind of having to adjust to that. I feel there could have been and Diana helping him, because like you said, their chemistry is great.
They're amazing.
And that you could have even you could have even had that as, the trick in The Wish is that he's been brought back, but he's been dead. He's got PTSD. He cannot adapt to this world. You could have had that as selfish to bring this man to a time he doesn't understand. Because Diana, you can say she's out of time, but she electively travels to this time, knowing that it will be different. Steve is kind of brought back. And he's everything.
She's just living through the ages, isn't she? So she's living and learning.
Yeah.
But it's
that's in my personal opinion. If you want to write that, that's a much
just interesting story elements that could have been
rather than he can just fly a jet.
I see. Again, it's one of those things. In a better film, those little because Chris Pine is so charismatic, and the bits where they're kind of funny little Marvel beats. You get a light little element of humour in a Marvel film, but it's really good film, so that it's funny rather than just being like ugh. But kind of like the thing with the trash can, and he's like, and he looks at the trash can, she's like, that's just a trash can. He's like, yeah, it's just a trash can.
Yeah.
And it's like walking past the break dancers, and one of them spins, and he's like,
Yeah.
They're funny little beats, and I enjoyed him doing that, like the fashion show thing where he's like, parachute pets? Does everybody parachute now? He pulls that off because he can, because he's that charismatic. But again, just in this elongated mess of a film.
I didn't like that as much as I liked her one, because her having to adjust to
she's much better at it.
It's kind of funny because he's like, his is just kind of, good, he doesn't get it. But her one is like, this doesn't make sense. How do you find this isn't practical? And I like that. And they go, no, it's not practical. But, fashion, I go, well, no, this isn't practical. Who wears this?
No, Fish Out of Water Diana in that time period is much better than
it's much more interesting.
But I get why they were doing it, because it's like a flick on its head, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's the one.
But I felt her one was definitely handled with better writing and more effort.
Yeah,
and I think Steve's one was just, wouldn't it be funny?
Well, I think this is where the problem stems from, is that this was written by Jeff Johns and Patty Jenkins, and there's a whole thing you could go into there with Jeff Johns, especially with the Ray Fisher thing at the moment. I think Jeff Johns is a good comic book writer, but he wants everything to revert to the status quo of when he was growing up reading comics. So it is all that Christopher Reeve era. But like I said, you've also got the Ray Fisher thing where he might just be an absolute prick of a man, so who knows. And Patty Jenkins doesn't seem to want Wonder Woman. She was on a podcast or something, and she this was back when they were trying to film Wonder Woman. When they were trying to get Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman, filming, and she said about how she was. They wanted like Diana to be like ripping heads off and stuff like that, and she was like, "No one wants to see that. Like, I'm a Wonder Woman fan, and no one wants to see that." And I'm kind of the thing where I'm like,
Wonder Woman's a warrior.
Wonder Woman's a warrior.
Wonder Woman's a warrior.
No, she doesn't have to be literally ripping heads off, but like, kind of in this film, where's her sword and shield gone? Like,
yes, yeah,
because they don't want her to be an aggressor. Like they in this film, it's like.
But she's.
I'd much rather take the Zack Snyder version where like Doomsday kicks her back and she looks and smiles at him and then jumps back.
100%, because Diana to me is a warrior who knows what she's fighting for. Yeah. So she's got a very good grasp of what's right and what's wrong. Yeah. And if it's hard, I'll do it and I'll fight for it, which I think is a very powerful woman. Yeah. In my opinion, that's a very powerful character. She is a warrior, and she goes, well, if I have to kill, I will kill. Yeah. I won't kill willy-nilly because I know the difference. Yeah. But I will. Yeah. But I will. I'm a warrior. I'm a proud warrior.
The DC universe and how people obviously took massive, really didn't like Superman snapping Zod's neck. You got Batman killing in BVS. And I actually would prefer if they didn't. I think I think there are still ways to do those exact films without them doing that. Yeah. And I get Snyder's reasons for it. It's art and it's his portrayal of those characters for this particular setting. But out of the Trinity, Wonder Woman is absolutely the one who can kill. Yes, and 100%. And 100%. It's always been portrayed that way.
Yes, yeah. She is, she's an Amazonian warrior, and that's kind of good because you've got Batman's kind of stoic, judgment, justice.
Yeah, and he's very headstrong.
And you don't kill. And you've got Clark, very, very idealistic and optimistic, farm domestic. Yeah. But then you've got her who's a bit more. Oh no, there is black and white. There is good and evil, but there is also my right to kill because we see it this way. Yeah, you know what I mean? If she wasn't who, it's hard to. I'm trying to find the right words.
I think you summed it up with the words Amazonian warrior.
Yes,
those words go so well hand in hand. You and I have always used it. She's like, that's the Amazonian warrior. She's not an Amazonian. What's the word when they're like
diplomat?
Diplomat. She's not a diplomat. Like she's an Amazonian warrior. Yeah. And yes, there's room for that Christopher Reeve superhero. Like, put down your weapons, and and like I say, the element of her saving the day by because of who she is, not what she does. But she's a warrior.
But 100. I think she would say, put down your weapons, or I'll break your hands. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll go as far.
They're going for more of the. They've really heavily leaned on, especially for this film, because it was the god of lies, and she's all about truth, and because of the truth, the lasso of truth or whatever. Yeah. But I get it, but give me Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman where she's holding the heads. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh mate, that picture was so cool.
But that's also, her character could have grown. You could even have that, like, growing, like, mate, in this world, maybe I don't have to be a warrior all the time. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't take that.
Yeah, but there was no arc there of that.
No, not
because there was too much going on in this film that no one cared about. Or I didn't care about. You cared about it. You idiot. But so we've got about 20 minutes left.
Your film.
Pitch time. No. You know what? We were talking about this.
Actually, you know what? You do. You do it, and I'll be like the producer. I'll be like the only Warner Brothers producer who's read a comic. So go on.
Right. No. So there is actually no I don't have anything like penned out, but when you and I came to talk about this film for the first time, we were talking about it and we were going backwards and forwards and literally saying all the stuff we've just said. And
take off your clothes. Can we talk about that? Is that all right? Does that make it in?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I might just bleep it out.
Okay.
But we were talking about this film and because I think the first thing I said to you was what I would have done differently with Barbara. It's like you make her a strong character. You make her like this like archaeologist, explorer, Indiana Jones, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. Like,
can I just say as well? Sorry to interrupt. We will keep going.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm done. But also, if I know people champion Wonder Woman as this. It's for women. You can have a mostly female cast if she's an archaeologist and you set it in Themyscira. You can actually, and it will make sense to the plot. And that's as long as it makes sense to the plot. As long as nothing is shoehorned in, I'm for it.
Yeah,
I'm always for it. You can have an all-female cast like that. If you want to justify it, she's in Themyscira, definitely. Yeah. And you can have the men, because if it is in the 80s or whatever, be the aggressor. Oh. Yeah, they didn't want to. I had to finance this on my own because they didn't think a woman on her own could do this or believed it existed.
Yeah. So
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Then this idea came up of rewriting Wonder Woman 1984. Well, what? Because I was thinking about it. I was like, well, okay, what would I have done? Like, because I hate when you see, and we've just done it for like an hour, but when you just rip into a thing for no
what
reason.
Could you do, motherfucker?
It's like, well, actually, you know what? Well, what would I have done?
Yes.
Like, what would I have done differently? And that's where all the fun of this comes from.
Yes.
But the Barbara character, I would have. That was my starting point that kicked me off from this. But what would I have done? And I was like, well, you make her like a strong character, a strong female character, like this Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones explorer kind of thing. And then I was thinking about how, like I've said, literally on this show just now, the strength of the relationship between Diana and Barbara, the stronger that relationship is, the better a villain she becomes. And get rid of Maxwell Lord. I don't even know why it came up. Just get rid of him. Yes, you could write that character in a good way, but this version of the character, forget about it.
And it's no to sit on Pedro Pascal's performance.
He is amazing.
Yeah.
But get that guy back in the Mandalorian outfit. So I was thinking, well, and because like I said, Diana, they're like best friends, and this curse befalls upon her, upon Barbara.
So would you have it as? So, Gal is, working wherever she is in the. She's doing whatever she's doing, and Barbara approaches her, having figured out. Approaches her about the island of Themyscira, looking into mythology.
Here's what we're going to do, Tim. Here's what we're going to do. No, right. Film opens, Film opens. So also I kind of tried to think like, okay, well, take elements from this that I like as well. So going back to Themyscira, like you said, amazing. So you go back to Themyscira, opens the Themyscira. You don't have to have the whole Olympic Games thing. You can if you want to shoehorn it in there. It seems like they must have spent a fortune on that.
They did. They went to Malta.
Yeah, and but the idea is to see like a young Diana, maybe she's like learning or exploring or whatever. Like that. You know what? I actually wrote her name down because I was like, what's her name? Lily Aspel, young Diana.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome, Lily Aspel. Yes. You are awesome. Have her kind of like whatever, just on the Themyscira plane, and she's exploring, and then we see a part of Themyscira that's kind of dark. I don't know, maybe it's like I don't know, this is kind of taken from the comics where there's in year 1 there's like an old dark tree and Diana gets bitten by like a snake sort of thing. And I think you could play into that kind of idea, because this is going to come back to our main overarching villain. And
is Hermes the villain if it's a snake?
No, Hades.
Hades.
So Hades would be my your figure behind the grand scheme, like Ares in the first one. It's like playing to that Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So he's essentially like the devil sort of thing.
Hades always gets as the devil, but I will say in Greek mythology, Hades was very respected by the gods and played an important role, as life is for death.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. He's more than that.
Come on, Hades, don't be such a stiff. Join the celebration.
Hey, love to. babe. But unlike you gods lounging about up here, I regrettably have a full-time gig that you, by the way, so charitably bestowed on me, Zeus. So, can't. Love to, but can't.
But kind of you play him that way.
Yes, of course,
It's kind of like...
He's interchangeable with Lucifer immediately.
Exactly, and so the idea is that you have a scene where you show sort of like metaphorically, like you don't see Hades or anything, but it's like some either tree or snake or like taking the apple from the thing, and she hears voices, and it's all about trying to lure Wonder Woman because I thought it would be... I'm getting ahead of myself, but you'd have something like that at the beginning, and she's gets scared and runs away because she's pure of heart. She's the embodiment of truth. That's what she grows up to be. She can't be tricked or whatever. Then we cut to the future, and I'm happy to go for like a setting that's 80s or 70s.
Yeah.
Something like that, where we don't jump right to the future, because I had a thought about how incredible you could end this film and lead it onto the future of the DC universe.
Okay.
So I would have Wonder Woman and Barbara in a relationship together. Wonder Woman Diana's lived in this world for 50 years now. She's traumatized by the loss of Steve, but she's got over it, and then she's worked at like something like this at a museum, like a Smithsonian or something, and found Barbara. And because also everyone knows, like she comes from an island of women. Of course, they're all like hooking up with each other. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing.
Like, it's been done in certain comics, and I think Gal Gadot even said, "Yeah, of course she'd kind of be like bi."
I think it's more or less just stated that Amazonians would be lesbian and Wonder Woman is bisexual, because if she grew up on Themyscira, the only other contact she would have would be women, but she also fell in love with Steve Trevor.
Yeah,
so she's
bisexual. Yeah, exactly. Perfectly put. Yeah. So, and so I would have them in a relationship, and in like a really loving relationship. Maybe you montage it and you see them, how they came together.
Oh, so you'd have it there, it's an established relationship rather than them falling in love. So they're not good friends to fall in love.
Don't do that, because we need Barbara's betrayal.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Okay.
Ooh, we need Barbara's betrayal to be that much more hurtful for Diana.
Do you think people would accept, though, coming to screen and not that it's not a good idea, and having her already in a relationship with Barbara, or do you think that comic fans would be annoyed or pseudo-comic
over it?
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, and I'm not saying it's bad. But
it's like the Marvel method, where you don't take direct adaptations, but you take the best of it and use it in a way that works. And also, I'm trying to work around this 1984 piece of shit. Yeah. So,
but also, as long as you understand fundamentally certain points about the character are true, I think you can do those things.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's not out of place to say Diana would be in a relationship with a woman.
No, exactly, and that's it. And you're trying to strengthen the relationship between them as much as possible, so that when it breaks and she literally loses Barbara to this horrible curse, which that's what it is in the comics. It's always been referred to as a curse. You don't just wish to be an apex predator and then you turn into a cheetah lady. That's how it works. So you'd have that happen. You see them together. You maybe see them even going on like adventures together, like kind of like exploring kind of like tombs and caverns, and because that's who Barbara is anyway. And Diana loves that about her, and whatever. And they work for it's literally Indiana Jones. Like, they go out or whatever.
Yeah.
So then it comes to the point where Barbara says, I want to see where you're from. Yeah, it kind of be like a like you could joke, family, like you could joke parents
it. You could joke it in the thing where she goes, "Well, it's an island of women," and she goes, "So it's paradise."
Exactly. Because she's like, "Well, brilliant." Make a joke of it. So all these little things you could put in, but she wants to get to Themyscira, and maybe we kind of play on that point where it's behind the scenes. Away from Diana's eyes, we see she really wants to get to Themyscira for some reason, like really, and and then it happens. You get to Themyscira.
That's also a good thing. You can have the relationship between Diana's mother and
exactly.
person we play out.
Exactly, it's kind of like a meet the parents kind of thing. She's like a human or whatever. Yeah. Also, there's an element you can play with getting back to the island, because sometimes it's played she can't return. I think even in Wonder Woman 1 they say like she can never come back. But you work it that way, however. Like but
it's not. I mean, that's obviously just by decree of the woman, because the German soldiers and Steve just happened upon it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like...
But how we get back there... I'm still working on it, people. Okay, you could do some invisible jet stuff. You could do some kind of magic element because magic's going to play into this in a big way.
Okay.
So once on Themyscira, then Barbara gets away from. Maybe it's like overnight or something, or like early morning. She leaves the city where all the women live, and she goes and she finds she's going through notebooks and ruffling through old maps and things like that, and she finds her way to where Diana was at the start, where. This kind of it's kind of like this I don't know, like it's all dark or cavernous, or you've got the tree and the snake, and it's all kind of part of the Themyscira that no one goes to. And she goes there, and this is the point where we'd need some kind of backstory for Barbara. But she's basically you could play it a couple of ways. You could play it that she's in search for basically the Holy Grail, some kind of immortality, because she loves Diana, she wants to be with her forever.
Okay.
Or which I think would be a better way, is you play it so that maybe she's dying or something like that, and she is after immortality to stay alive. And she has been using Wonder Woman this whole time because they're meeting. She realised about and then she learns about Themyscira and all this stuff. Okay, I can get there, and there's a thing I can use to somehow stay alive. And what ends up happening is she ends up succumbing to the whatever it is, the evil thing, and releases Hades. And Hades has been released because, I don't know, let's just say because when Wonder Woman killed Ares, that left a spot for another god to come to Earth or something like that. We just go, but the point is...
If you're talking about releasing, then I suppose you could play with the thing of Pandora's box.
I was thinking about that.
If you want a MacGuffin about releasing...
I was even thinking about Pandora's box.
I knew a girl at school called Pandora. Never got to see her box, though.
Right. Right, thanks. That's very helpful.
Notting Hill, great film. Yeah, but you could. This is all just spitballing, and then you basically have Barbara. Wonder Woman finds out that she's been betrayed by Barbara. Barbara. It then all gets explained. She's in this like search for immortality, and the research has led her here or whatever. And then, but then, as always, it's never the way it turns out. And Hades turns Barbara, curses her into someone who will spend the rest of eternity collecting souls for him and bringing them to the underworld. And that is where the curse comes from. This like legendary Themyscirian god, like, and you go into more detail about the cheetah element. And the Apex Predator line I quite like. It's a good way of putting it in, but there's no cheetah print or leopard print going on, and like animal fur and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and then there's an element in the New 52 version of the character where she can actually turn people into kind of ferocious cheetah-like animals by biting them. So you could even have that playing, because that creates like a thing for Wonder Woman to fight like more than one person sort of thing.
And to like turn her friends and family against her.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then Hades, I don't know whether... That was about as far as I got, except for the really cool ending that I have. But, because then obviously you have to think about like big set points and plot points, and there being battles. So that could be one, that's like your main first big battle. Maybe that's why you do open with the Themyscirian Olympic Games, because it's something fun at the beginning. That's your big first thing, where it's kind of like Steppenwolf invading Themyscira in Justice League, except it's good. But you know what I mean? And Cheetah becomes Cheetah, she's turning Amazonians. And from there, I liked the idea of however that becomes resolved. Hades gets released, but then you make up something about he wants to unleash the underworld upon the world and rule, like that sort of thing. And you could even have it that he was kind of like luring Barbara, you know, like Ares says like, I whisper in their ears and things like that. So almost like he brought her there anyway, so there could still be good in her. And then I like the idea of and like I said before, Wonder Woman wants to save her. Like, even though she's betrayed her, she has to stop her and save her. And then we end up with, I don't know, you play at Hades as a MacGuffin or something. I don't know, whatever there is. But there's comes to a climactic thing where Wonder Woman has to stop Hades, but save Barbara. And whatever way you work it, there is no way that she's going to save Barbara. She has to. You can even have it like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, where if she it overtakes her, or like a werewolf thing, a full moon, however it kind of plays like that. But she doesn't save Barbara because too many times in these films they kill off the villain. Like Ares is a great villain, but they killed him off and they killed him dead. And so this would end with, and that was a thing I thought I had, because I really like the idea of Steve being brought back into the film. And so you could have it that the only way that the reason that Hades lured Barbara there and had her release him was because he needs to get to Wonder Woman, because her soul is the purest of all souls on earth. She's the embodiment of truth. And if he can corrupt Wonder Woman, then he can unleash all hell upon the earth or whatever. I made this up in a day, all right? So you kind of have that, and I wouldn't even maybe kill Hades or even stop him, but maybe like imprison him or something. But then what you have is, because I really like the idea of Steve Trevor being in the modern day. Like that was the only bad thing about that character, Steve Trevor. Her one true love, her big, it's Lois and Clark, isn't it? Is that we thought maybe he might make it somehow to the modern day. But that didn't happen. He got brought back in the most convoluted way in Wonder Woman 84. So then I would have kind of in this, you can even have Cheetah maybe kind of team up with Wonder Woman at the end to stop Hades. But in the big climactic battle, you see that Hades has overstepped the line of the gods and he's stolen Steve's soul and has pulled it to the underworld and is using it as bait for Wonder to turn them back. She has to sacrifice Steve again, and that's the thing. And we either stop or imprison Hades. We don't kill him. We save the world, and like there's a big climactic battle, as there always is. Cheetah stays cursed. Maybe she even thinks that by teaming up with Diana and stopping Hades will free her of that curse, but that doesn't happen. And then this is where you get to your last kind of finishing up of the film. So then maybe you see a montage of, Diana's kind of like, I'm never going to give up on you, you betrayed me, but I will stop you. And maybe she has this curse, like she needs to kill, like this kind of werewolf thing. She has to take at least one life to sustain being alive. And so she will always kill throughout the ages. And then we get a montage of Diana literally following and chasing and hunting and fighting Barbara through from the period of like the 70s, 80s, whenever it's set, to modern day. Like she's had that this whole time, because she's the one thing she won't give up on. Diana sees it as her problem. This happened because of her, and then that's when I came to the ending. Just imagine, you got like Hades, you got the element of Cheetah, which is kind of magic imbued anyway. That's how she kind of hurts Wonder Woman and all this stuff. And then we finally get to the modern day. Just imagine this as a scene for a setup for a future film in the DC universe. So I don't know, Wonder Woman's at the Smithsonian and whatever, and she sees another report of Barbara or this cheetah-like creature or whatever. And this has been years now. It's just like, something about this has to be done. And then she goes, and then the next scene we see is her like in full costume approaching Affleck Batman in the Batcave, and he's standing there with Superman, Henry Cavill Superman, talks and whatever. You have some joke where Batman's like, what is this, a country club? Like, this is why I built a satellite for people to hang out in, setting up like future Justice League iterations or whatever. She's like, what are you doing here, Cal? She has to call him Cal. She's like, what are you doing here, Cal? He's like, oh, I've got a problem I need Batman's help with. And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, the same thing actually. And because obviously this would have been like, they're all, because you put this maybe it's post Justice League, post BVS, they're not like friendly, but they all kind of just comes in. They don't know the ins and outs of everyone. And she explains about Barbara and the curse that's befalled her and how it's her responsibility and she has to stop her. But she's spent years trying. She's looked at all the Themyscirian artifacts and texts and historical whatever, there's no way of stopping it. It seems like a magic that she doesn't know anything about. And Superman would naturally be like, I hate magic.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Bruce, in the time I've known you, you know a lot about everything. Is there anything that anyone that you know that you've ever met in your career that has any experience with magic? And he's like, well, no, this is it. So you got a double twist coming here. Okay. So you get him on the back computer. He's like, there's one man I know who would probably be able to help in this situation, but he's not a man that any of us should ever trust. And it comes up on the screen, John Constantine.
Oh.
Yeah, so you get setting up for like the magical element.
I got that wrong again. I was going to go Dr. Fate.
I thought about that. I was like, and then, because you said Shazam as well, that's when all of a sudden, and you have him say something like, John Constantine knows everything there is to know about magic. And then you hear a young voice go, magic, I know something about magic. And young Billy Batson comes out from the corner. That's the problem, because Superman and Shazam meet at the end of Shazam. Yeah. And so Clark has brought young Billy Batson to the Batcave because he's like, what the f***? Like, we've got to deal with this. Like, this is so it's like, that's the problem that Superman's turned up with, is this young Billy Batson. And then Diana's turned up with this problem. And then you lead into, you've got like a kind of magic-based, you can go, Justice League Dark kind of thing. You've got Black Adam they're coming up with anyway. They've already released incredible. You see Boss Logic's artwork of Hawkman, Dr. Fate. Oh my God, so good. But it seems like they're going in that direction anyway, so you could have that, and it's my Wonder Woman film.
That was a good pitch. I will change. See.
No, you will not.
Yes, I will. You want your film made, don't you? Take it off. So I will say, with Hades, I reckon you should go with the god Hermes instead. I know you don't want Pedro Pascal in, but make it Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, you could do.
But because Hades is a god closely associated with things like centaurs and satyrs and so he's closely associated with kind of animal-human hybrid things of like beastmen.
Oh, that's cool.
So
gives you another way into that cheetah element.
Why she would go that way. It can't, and also you could have it as, because Hermes is usually seen as a good god, of him like, because you can go in with the power angle of him like all the other gods are dead, and he's always been a messenger, and he eventually says all the other gods are dead. It's my time to rule.
It's our time. Like, we need to restore the gods.
And he can even
see what we're coming up with.
Well, you can even have it as why some of the Amazonians electively go with him, because he says, man's time is over.
Yeah, it's like you've been stuck on this island for forever.
Beasts don't destroy the world. They don't pollute. Blah blah blah. Beasts should rule, and you could have it as right. He wants beasts to rule, like Hermes and his beasts. And that's where I would have.
That's very cool, because I like the element of, because that is one of the problems in Wonder Woman 84 had it, is getting this cheetah character to have some. And I was thinking about some kind of like ancient Themysciran curse or like something like that. But also, I wanted to get. The main thing is, I was just thought about that ending. I was like, imagine Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman all standing in the Batcave, trying to figure out what to do about magic. And then John Constantine gets brought up, and you got Shazam there. Yeah. I even thought you could even have a moment where Barbara, you see like a flashback to maybe this kind of shows you like maybe she's got something up her sleeve other than just wanting to go to the Themyscira. You see a flashback of her exploring and looking for this.
Yeah,
you got a Holy Grail-esque thing, or immortality, the search for never-ending life, and you could see, to tie it into like Shazam at the end, is that one of her things that sets her off on her journey is because you could say it in the 70s, which is the same time it happens to the character in the film Shazam. She gets taken to be one of the champions. Yeah, to the what's it called?
The Rock of Eternity.
The cave.
I know.
Oh my God.
The Rock of Eternity.
It's the Temple of...
The Rock of Eternity!
You know what I mean? The where the Wizard Shazam resides. And you could have that, what sets her off as her journey, and it all ties back in. Like, it's one of the things that sets her off. Yeah. universes that make sense.
Yeah. Well, that was the. But I like that idea of the Barbara betrayal, and then I said
that's what I mean. I thought it's so
Hermes
cool,
and the God betrayal, and him trying to push old beasts are in charge now. But her, I think, and
it's
once
like
again, this is just us thinking. You could round all this off.
Yeah,
there's always this is our thing with back to what was released is that. They had good concepts that weren't rounded off, and this is the first time we spoke. This first time. There's all sorts of ways. I
think all I said to you before was I'd make her like an Indiana Jones type character, and then we've come up with this weird spiel of like
this whole entire film, and you can like that. Our cast is mostly female in that. If you want to go back to Themyscira, the cast is mostly female. It's driven by strong female characters. You can even have Pedro Pascal back as Hermes because I think he'd play a good who would be good, and you could have even Themyscirans. Yeah, he's right, man are no good. And
I like that better than the Hades thing. I got to the Hades thing because I was thinking about Steve Trevor coming back.
Hey guys, fun fact from the editing booth from a guy who clearly doesn't have too much time on his hands. But the god Hermes was known for guiding souls to the underworld and sometimes rescuing souls from there too. So maybe in this nonsense story of ours, we could have even had the two gods Hermes and Hades teaming up? Also, going off what Tim was saying about linking beasts to Greek mythos, even more so than Hermes, the goddess Artemis, who not only appeared in Wonder Woman comics and even took up the mantle of Wonder Woman at one point, but she was also the goddess of wild animals and hunting. So maybe you could even throw her into the mix as a female goddess villain, and she'd give you an even stronger link into making that Cheetah curse more relevant, eh? Kinda weird that no one in a writing or screenwriting capacity made the link between Artemis, the goddess of wild animals and hunting, and Wonder Woman's greatest foe, a literal animal-human hybrid cheetah. And there's your climactic battle. 3 gods all clamouring for power with Wonder Woman stuck in between stopping them, an army of rogue Amazonian cheetah hybrids, and on top of that trying to save Steve Trevor's soul. Not a bad first draft for a couple of hours' work from a couple of idiots. You know where to find us, Warner Brothers. But what do we know? You're probably better off with your magic rock anyway, you piece of shit.
I was thinking about, you could then go Wonder Woman 3, could literally be like, with her like asking about Barbara and the whole magic element, I forgot this, it could literally be like a journey to the underworld to save Steve Trevor's soul. And that's how you bring Steve Trevor back into the car. Because she's like, people aren't supposed to come back, but Hades stepped over the mark. He's tried to tempt me by corrupting Steve's soul. Like, Steve wasn't in the underworld, now he is, we're going to get him back. Like that kind of whatever element. But there's so much you could just do with like Wonder Woman, the Greek mythology, like, and the Cheetah character. And we got Magic Wishing Rock and Maxwell Lorenzano, who's an oil tycoon that's made up all the thing about his oil and loves his kid, but doesn't love his kid, but he does love his kid.
Yeah, it steps out of control. It feels like a lot of different movies at a time, because the moment when he wishes himself to be The Rock is weird, and then after
I can't now think of anything other than Dwayne Johnson when you say that. When he wishes himself to be The Rock.
Turned into The Rock. Oh, doesn't matter if you wish yourself to be The Rock. It doesn't matter. But it felt like if say that's the film we pitched, and then I just say I changed Hades to Hermes. Like that's the first rewrite. Okay, and then that whole
makes
thing
more sense.
That makes more sense. Oh, can we show that for actions rather than speak? And you can condense that down. With Wonder Woman 84, it felt like they did none of that. It felt like a perfect example is Rogue One. Rogue One spent ages with different directors, different teams, being kind of sanded down to what it was, and what it was a perfect, perfect new Star Wars film. And perhaps this should have happened with 84.
I don't know. I don't know how you start writing a Wonder Woman film and get to what Wonder Woman 84 was.
Yes.
I get like points being like, Invisible Jet or Golden Eagle Armor or things like that.
But they're just thrown in.
But like I just started with, okay, we need to make this Cheetah character like believable and strong and opposing, but also back in the comics she has to want to save her and stop her because she's her friend, and it's like, okay, we make a small rewrite, you change that to that.
And it adds to the whole of Wonder Woman retreating from the world, because each time she falls in love with someone, she's hard.
She's the first person she's fallen in love with since Steve, and then this person betrays her, which just goes again to show man's world.
What a
evil.
fantastic testament to Steve that, no man could compare, but this woman has taken Diana in a different way. She's finally loved again, and it's this incredibly capable, non-Amazonian woman who she brings back and trusts, and then that's shattered for her.
Yeah.
And then you've got the elements of this god that the Amazonians thought they could trust has just run amok.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's good. That's why he starts with the Amazonians, because last time they held them back.
Yeah.
That's why he starts with them, and that's why because he'll do it in man's world, but really he just wants beasts.
Yeah.
That would be my thing. Yeah.
I just think, and like I said, that was one thing that I came up with while I was my mind was wandering at work.
Yeah.
After a conversation we had about, what would we do? I was like, okay, I'd make Barbara like this explorer character, make her a stronger character, so when she becomes Cheetah, she's more of a stronger villain. And then that's it. And then you start this Greek mythology, bring that in. But Maxwell Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, it was strange. And it to me,
it bothers me that with DC, we're getting these incredible characters and we're wasting them.
Yeah.
Like what? That's Cheetah done.
Yeah.
It's basically Wonder Woman's only kind of. And you could even
cast well with Kristen Wiig.
There's versions where Cheetah is literally because she's cursed and there's a magic element and things like that. When she hurts Diana, she hurts her and she stays her, and you can have her lose their powers that way, kind of thing. Like there's even that element you could have followed. Because obviously this did lean heavily on, and again it comes back to Jeff Johns being so obsessed with the past, but Superman 2 loses his powers, doesn't he? It's that whole, and then Spider-Man 2's done that. It's always like a thing of the second film, the character losing the powers, but. Yeah, man. I think we did it. I think that was a...
Yeah. I mean, I hope we did.
I think that was a nice little review of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
We shit all over it, and then we made something better out of it.
And then we made our own film because we're experts.
There's bits that... Yeah, because we're now writers.
Yeah, that's what we do now. That's what we do.
Yeah. But, no, it was awesome, man. But, yeah. Let us know what you thought of Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, let us know what you thought of Wonder Woman 84, and let us know, are you looking forward to Zoom? Have you thought, oh, Jesus Christ, really? And also any...
us doing the Zoom thing, yeah.
But also any one you see now with actual people in it, those were filmed way before lockdown. I think we filmed 2, Cheetah and Chestnut within lockdown, between lockdown and then everyone else.
Before that, we've got an episode with Elijah that's that was one of the first ones we ever did. But yeah, like Tim's saying, so hope you enjoyed this episode. But so going forward, this should hopefully be the last one of just me and Tim just talking. But going forward, we'll be doing having some Zoom guests on. You guys can come on Zoom and we can chat to you about cosplay and get back to the suit up element of the show that started it all off.
We'll hopefully see the other end of this lockdown where we can do the show the way we wanted to originally.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh, just think about Comic-Con, man.
Oh God. Well, that's why there's no dummies up. Because why are we building anything if there's no cons?
Oh man. But let's wrap it up then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, how do we usually do that?
So. You say.
I think you usually start.
I say you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Suit Up Show.
That's right. And you can check out our website, www.thesuitupshow.com. You can find all the information there about how and where to watch the show. And you can email us at thesuitupshow@gmail.com. And that's it.
There's just pictures of dicks in here.
What? See you soon, guys.
See you later.
Thanks for clicking on this video or listening to this podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Suit Up Show and hit the notification button for new videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And for more information, visit www.thesuitupshow.com.